Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to go over how to use message collectors and reaction collectors with Discord bots. So as a brief overview for message collectors, collectors allow your bot to send a message to a channel and wait for the users to respond. Once the messages have been collected, your bot can then process those messages in different ways based on the coding logic. Reaction collectors are very similar to standard message collectors in that they wait for the users to respond. The key difference is that when a user reacts to a specific message that your bot sends into a server, that reaction is collected and handled accordingly. All right, let's get started. To start, we're going to scroll down to the very end of our message event handler, and we're going to create a new if statement here, msg.content.startsWith. And we're going to give it a command of collector. The first thing we need to do is define a filter by which we want to collect these messages, so we're not collecting things we don't need. The filter is basically a function that's run with every message that the bot collects, so the bot can decide whether or not it needs to keep it or not. So for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead and create a new filter. And it's going to be an arrow function that the message is passed into. And we're going to just return not msg.author.bot. Since this functions outside of the normal message event handler, we also have to ensure that the messages that are collected are not coming from the bot, and this is a fairly easy way to do it. The next thing we need to do is specify the options for the collector, which will tell it the max number of messages that it can save, as well as the time by which it's going to continue collecting. It is an object, so let's go ahead and create that object of options. Open bracket. We're going to collect a maximum of 2 messages, and we want to set a timeout of 15 seconds. Time is specified in milliseconds, so you have to multiply by 1000 to get the seconds. And finally, we're going to create the collector. And we want to specify the channel that the message was received on initially. And on that channel, we're going to issue create message collector and pass in both our filter and our options. Now the collector itself has a series of events that it can use to process the messages itself. And we're going to add these events directly to the collector as opposed to the client. So collector.onCollect, which fires every time it collects a message. Pass in the message there. And for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to console.log it. And we'll say collected the message content. Now the last event we need to register is the end event, which triggers when the collector is finished processing. So go ahead and put end in there. And we're going to pass in collected, which is a collection of the collected messages. So when the collector is finished, we're just going to console log this out as well. Collected, and we'll pass in the collected size, which is just the number of messages that was collected, items. So the collector is finished being built. The last thing we want to do here is we want to reply back to the user. What is your favorite color? Let's go ahead and save. Okay, let's open our terminal back up again and issue npm start to start our bot. Our bot has started. Back in Discord, let's test out our newly created collector command. What is your favorite color? And we'll enter blue. So now we didn't configure the bot to respond to anything, so let's head back into our VS Code to see our terminal. We can see collected blue. And finally, after the time has expired, collected 1 items. Excellent. This works exactly as we specified. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to explore how we can combine the concept of arguments with collectors to create something of an interactive questionnaire that we can present to the user. Now, to save myself from typing all of this code, because it's a fairly large chunk, I'm going to paste it in, but we're going to step through it line by line to explain exactly what it does. Okay? So the new command I've entered here is called gimme, And my idea behind it is I want to allow the user to say, I want a smiley of a specific kind, or I want a color of a specific color emoji responded back to me. Now, because we want to combine arguments with collectors, we basically can specify any or all of the parameters or arguments that we're expecting in here, which is why we're checking here. So we split the arguments based on the space into an array. We're going to check element 1 in the array to see if it's either smiley, or if I scroll down a little bit, it's a circle. Now inside here, we're also checking to see what the length of the arguments are. So if it's less than 3, which means we only have gimme plus the smiley, we're going to create a collector here with our options, just like we did before. We're going to create a collector just like we did before. We don't need to specify the collect event handler, but we will need to specify the end. So we're also checking to see if the reason that the collector ended was based on time. And if it is, we're going to respond back into the server with this red out of time with a sad smiley message. If it did not run out of time, we're going to check to see what the collected message was. If the text was happy, it's going to respond with a happy emoji. If it's sad, it's going to respond with a sad emoji. Or if it doesn't know what you're asking it, it's going to say, I don't know that smiley. Here's our message.reply. In case we don't have all the parameters, the bot's going to ask what kind of smiley you like and suggest happy or sad. So the else statement of this particular if block happens if all of the arguments are already there. It's going to check element 2 in the array, and it's going to respond accordingly, just like we're doing above. Now the circle down here does exactly the same thing, except it will respond with a red circle or a blue circle. And same thing, I don't know that color. So let's go ahead and save our code. We can see our terminal, our NodeMon has already restarted our bot. And let's play around with this command a little bit. Let's say gimme, and we'll say smiley. It's going to say, what kind of smiley do you like? Say happy, and it responds with a happy smiley. Let's try that one more time and give it some bad input. Give me smiley. And let's type in frowny. I don't know that smiley. Now let's also test gimme with a circle. What color circle would you like? Blue or red? We'll say red because we chose blue last time. And we get a red circle back, exactly as we expect. Let's go ahead and go back into our code, and at the very end of our message handler, we're going to create a new if block. And it's going to be message.content.starts with. And let's say React. We're going to use a little bit of a different convention here and use promise chaining in order to accomplish everything in the exact sequence we want it. So the first thing we want to do is message.channel.send. We're going to say, which emoji do you prefer? Sending a message into a channel actually returns a promise. And because of that, we can chain a then statement on the end of it and get the object that was created when that message was dropped into the channel. So we're going to reference that here using the question, open an arrow function, and we're going to react to that question directly. So question.react, and let's open a string here. We will say thumbs up. And we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to replace this with a thumbs down. So we should see these two reactions onto that message for us to choose. So the filter we create here is going to be a little bit different as well. We're going to create the filter again, but we're also going to pass, instead of the message, we're going to pass the reaction, but we're also going to pass the user, so this way we can check to see if the user who created that reaction is a bot or a standard user. Same thing, it's an arrow function, and we're going to use some shorthand conditional statements here. Return, we're going to check our array for both a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And we're going to see if that array includes our reaction.emoji.name. And the last thing we want to check to make sure is the user is not a bot. Okay, let's create our options now. new object, maximum of 1 reaction, the timeout of 15 seconds. And finally, create the collector. Question.createReaction collector. Pass in our filter and options. And now we're going to use the event handlers just as we did before. So collector.on. And I'm going to pass in collected and reason. So this way we can check to see if the reason we ran out was time. So if reason equals time, we're going to respond with message.reply, ran out of time. Else, we're going to get the user reaction by converting our collected collection to an array and grabbing the first element, since there should be only one here. And we're going to grab the emoji from that reaction, user reaction dot underscore emoji dot name. And now we're going to handle this accordingly. If emoji equals the thumbs up, message.reply, glad your reaction is thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Else if emoji equals thumbs down, we're going to reply with sorry, your reaction is thumbs down. And finally, although the filter should prevent this from happening, for some additional checking, we're going to say message.reply. I don't understand, and interpolate in there the emoji itself. Okay, now that we've saved this, let's go ahead and check to see that NodeMon restarted our bot properly. Looks like it did. Let's go back into our server and use our new command react. And we see we get the 2 initial reactions we specified. Let's go ahead and hit a thumbs up, and our bot responds, glad your reaction's thumbs up. Firstly, let's go ahead and do this again with a thumbs down to get the other message. And finally, let's go ahead and react and let it time out. And we receive the message ran out of time. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm also live right here on YouTube every Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central. For channel updates or to get in touch with me, follow me on Twitter at BrianMMDev or join my Discord using the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.